Well, hello, welcome again to our reading of the Greek New Testament. We're reading through Luke's Gospel and beginning at chapter 15. Esan auto engidzontes, pantes hoi telonai kai hoi hamatoloia kuen autu. And we've got, again, a sort of periphrastic imperfect here. So all the tax collectors and the sinners. It's not clear exactly what sinners mean, presumably those who didn't follow the strict rules of the Pharisees. So the sinners literally were being near, so it's a participle, and it's used with the imperfect of the verb to be as a sort of periphrastic imperfect. So they were drawing near to him, and then we get an epexegetic infinitive, really, or purpose, so for the purpose of hearing him. But there's no hostia or anything here, it's just perhaps epexegetic infinitive to hear him. And akuo takes the genitive of person generally, although not always in the New Testament. Kai dia gonguzdo hoi te pharisaioi kai hoi grammates legontes hoti hutos hamatolus prosdeketai kai sunestiae autois. And the Pharisees and the scribes began to mumble. This is from gonguzdo, which is probably an onomatopoetic word, gonguzo. Sort of has that sense of mumbling, and the dia just makes it more emphatic. So they began to mumble or grumble, perhaps, saying, and then in hoti for inverted commas, this man, prosdeketai, receives sinners, kai sun esthia, from esthio and the sun, and is eating with them. It's dative after the sun. Apen de prosautus ten parabolen tautain legon. And he spoke, or he said to them, this parable, legon, saying, tis anthropos ex humon, ekon hecaton probita kai apollesas ex auton hen u katalepe ta enene conta enia en te eremo kai paruetai epito apollolos hios hure auto. It's a question there. So which man ex humon from among you, having hecaton probita, hecaton 100 probita, a sheep. Interestingly, the word, this is not the usual word necessarily in classical Greek for sheep, which is ois, but this becomes the word for sheep in later Greek. Etymologically, it really is from pro, plus the bar root here is from bino, because the sheep went ahead of the shepherd, and the shepherd would go behind to keep them all moving along rather than it being in front. So we get this probata. It's the things that walk in front of you, literally. Kai apollesas, and having lost hen, one, ex auton, from them. So which man, having doing all this, does not leave katalepe, the 99, in the desert, or perhaps in the desolate place, and goes after, now it's to apollolos. So this is the perfect participle from apollumi. So apollumi is the verb, a perfect is apollola, and then in the participle you get kos quia kos. And because of the liquid you don't get the kappa here. So this is actually a perfect participle, neuter, agreeing with the top, and it's because probiton is neuter. So it goes after the one which has been lost, hios hure auto, until he might find auto it. Again, neuter agreeing with this probiton, which is the singular for sheep. Kai huron epitithe si epitus omus autu kairon. And having found it, epitithe, he places it upon, and Greek loves to repeat the preposition, So he places it upon his shoulders, this is from Omos, shoulder, Chiron rejoicing. Kai elthon es tenoikon sun kale tus philus kai tus getonas legon autois, sun kare temoi, hoti huron to probaton mu to apololos. And having gone into his house, he calls together his friends and his neighbours. This is from Gaetone, third declension noun. His neighbours, saying to them, this is from the Cairo again, it's rejoice with me. So sung, this is that guttural nasal. The gamma here is a guttural nasal, and you need that before the guttural, so it's the nu turns into a guttural nasal before the guttural chi. So rejoice with me, because I found that my sheep, and then again we get this perfect neuter participle, the one having been lost, the one which was lost. Lego humin hotihutos kara ento urano estai, epiheni hamatolo metanounti a epi enenekonta enia, dikaius hoitines ukrion ekusi metanoias. I say to you that, likewise in the same manner, estai, there will be kara, joy in the heaven, over here, one of the many uses of epi, over one sinner, and then a dative participle agreeing with that, repenting, than, for the a, so there will be, so we don't really get a comparison here. It just says there will be joy in heaven over one sinner repenting, rather than over 99 dikaios, righteous ones, hoitines, the very ones who, ukreon ekusi metanois, who do not have a need, this is a genitive, of repentance or for repentance. That particular pericope is also in Matthew's Gospel. The next two pericopi, in fact, are not, these are Lucan material, so this one is the parable of the lost coin. Eitis gune drachmas ekusi deca eon apolese drachmain mian, uki hapte luknon kai saroi ten oikian kai tsete epimelos heos u hure. So this particular pericope is all about things being lost, and in fact this one and the parable of the lost son coming up in the next section, you can again understand that how the oral tradition, as it's passed down, you have this parable of the lost sheep, and then there are other other material about things being lost. Here we have a coin, later we have a son, and these all get put together in these three stories here. So, or a certain woman having 10 drachmae, if she might lose 1 drachma, uki hapte luknon, does she not light a luknon, a lamp, kai saroi. Now this is from saroo, it's a contracted omicron verb. It means to sweep. It can have somewhat stronger meanings, to drag as well, but here it's just this base meaning of to sweep, and you get a contraction here because it's a contracts to the oi, and it's all a question. Does she not sweep the house? And she seeks epimelos. This is carefully, until she might find it. Kai hurusa sunkele tasfilas kai getones legusa sun kai retimoi hoti huron 10 drachmain hain apolise. And having found it, she calls together her friends and neighbours, the same expression we had above in the earlier pericope, saying, rejoice with me, because I have found the drachma which I lost. Hutos, lego humin, ginatai kara enopion ton angelon to theou, epiheni hamatolo metanounti. Likewise I say to you, or in the same manner I say to you, ginatai, there is kara joy before the angels of God over one sinner, and again we get this participle here, this genitive participle from metanoio, agreeing with the hamatolos here. So over one sinner repenting. And that's the first part of chapter 15.